Hi there, all my Linux loving fans. It's me, Jack Wallen, here with another Linux 101. There, I did it again. I don't know why I keep doing that, but anyway, that's just me. So, I have something I want to talk about that might be a little bit divisive here. But hey, don't we just love that, right? That's just the way the world is right now. Woo! So, Linux has an attitude problem. Not Linux, the operating system, Linux, the community. Let me explain. Let me set the stage for you, okay? We're going to get in the Wayback Machine for a moment here. We're going to go way back to around 1998, I think, which was approximately a year after I started using the Linux operating system. Back in that day, Linux was not easy. Not at all. The installation was hard, installing applications was hard, the desktops were often kind of challenging. It's just the way it was. And even worse, finding help was a big challenge. And I really struggled. And the way it all happened for me is that I had a Windows computer and it kept blue screening on me. So I thought, I got to do something, because this is just, I can't get anything done with this computer because it's crap and Windows is crap. And so I did some research. I saw some writing about Linux being an alternative operating system. I thought, why not? So I downloaded I don't remember how I did it first. I think I downloaded a file and it had to go on a bunch of different floppies, and I tried to install it that way. It didn't work. So then I went to I've already explained this. I went to, I think it was called CompUSA or Circuit City or CompUSA, and I bought Caldera Open Linux 1. And I went back home and I installed it, not knowing that it was going to overwrite Windows, because I didn't know anything about dual booting. So all of a sudden I was kind of tossed to the dogs, and I had to figure it out because I couldn't afford to buy a new computer, and I didn't know how to reinstall Windows because I didn't have a disk for it, and I couldn't afford, because back then purchasing the Windows operating system was really expensive. And so I was just like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to have to figure out how to use this. Let's see if I can do it. Who freaking knows? So I struggled mightily at first. And then, I don't remember how, but I came across someone. His name was Mark. I actually know his last name. I'm not going to tell you what it is because, you know. So Mark, for whatever reason, took my hand and said, let me walk with you and help you figure this out. He was absolutely instrumental in me getting AfterStep installed, and then learning how to configure AfterStep, learning how to install from source, learning how to compile a kernel, all sorts of things that I could not find the answers for. He took the time to sort of be my mentor, and had it not been for him, I wouldn't be where I am today. And that, my friends, is the truth. Now, fast forward back to the present. I have been on most of the mailing lists for different distributions and various and sundry other Linux topics for a long time. And I have been on forums quite often, and other services, Mastodon, whatever. And one of the things I discovered that's really disheartening is that somebody new to Linux will get onto the mailing list or the forums or the server or whatever and say, hell, I need help. I can't figure out how to do this. And one of the first things that is almost always said is essentially read the freaking manual. RTFM. And as you can imagine, that really puts people off, because someone came to that place needing help. And instead of getting help, they were pretty much told, figure it out on your own. Go Google it. Go read the freaking manual. Read the man page, whatever. I don't have time for you. Figure it out. What do you think that does? Answer that honestly. Whether you're one of those persons that will say, read the freaking manual, or one of those persons that has been on the other end of such a statement, what do you think that does to the person reaching out for help? Let me help you there. It turns them off. It says, well, this is not a very friendly community. Can't get help for this. I guess I'm just going to have to go back to Windows or Mac OS, because I can't do the thing I need to do with Linux, and no one will help me. If you have, let's just say, for example, you are a maintainer of a distribution, of a Linux distribution, right? Whatever that is, whatever distribution it is. And you, for that distribution, you host a forum. And in that forum, there's a help section. And in that help section, people regularly tell others to read the freaking manual or use Google. Are you forgetting that that's what that forum is for? It's to help. And if you aren't willing to help, why are you there? I regularly get emails from people. I got one this morning. I got an email this morning saying, hey, I'm new to Linux. I want to keep using it, but I can't get my printer to work. Here's my printer make and model. What can I do? And they told me that they were using, they were using Zorin OS. It took me all of 30 seconds to reply to them and tell them they needed to install the HPLIP, whatever, I can't remember exactly, that driver, and it would work. 30 seconds, that's it. It took me 30 seconds to help someone. I didn't roll my eyes. I didn't say, oh my gosh, all they had to do was Google it and get the answer. People look up to those with experience. If you have a lot of experience with Linux, someone asks you a question about how to do something, help them. Don't tell them to read the freaking manual. Don't tell them to go to Google and figure it out for themselves. Help them. Why? Because that brings someone else into the fold, and they will be more likely to continue using Linux if they know that the community is amenable to helping them. If they know they can turn to you for help. If they know they can get help. Because here's the thing. Linux is an open source operating system. So most often, there's not a lot of technical help. You know, you can't call Canonical and say, hey, I can't get Ubuntu to work with this printer. What do I do? You can't email Canonical. It's so frustrating to me. I have been, and you have to understand, I've been helping people with Linux, or I've been trying to help people with Linux for a very, very long time. And I get it. I understand. Because I was on the other side of it. And I needed help, and I got help. Somebody took the time to help me, and because they did that, I never stopped using Linux. And you never know. That one person might reach out to you and say, I need help. Or you might be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through whatever, Facebook or Blue Sky or whatever, and you might see somebody saying, hey, I'm trying to get Linux up and running. I don't know how to get it. I don't know how to install some software or whatever. I saw that the other day on Facebook. There was on one of the Linux groups, somebody said, I need to install a Tor browser. How do I do it? And the responses were ridiculous and infuriating. So I jumped on and I said, sudo apt-get install tor browser-launcher-y. That's it. Took me 10 seconds to type that out. No skin off my back. If you see somebody asking a question about Linux and you know the answer, answer it. Help them. Because if you do, chances are pretty good the choir just got a little bigger. And trust me, the Linux choir needs to get bigger, because every time a new person is added to the choir, that means they can in turn preach about Linux to the other people who haven't discovered it yet. And that, my friends, should be much more important than it is. We've got to be a community. If we're not a community, what are we? So please, if you see somebody asking for help and you can help them, do so. If you can't help them, point them to someone or a site or a reference that can help them. And don't say, look it up. Don't say, read the freaking manual. Say, hey, here, go over this place and you should be able to find what you're looking for. Or just say, here's the command that you need to use. Or install this application, it'll do exactly what you need. It's not hard. But if you don't do those things, you're making it hard for someone. And when you make something hard for someone, they're less likely to continue using it. And right now, Linux is still in the single digits of market share. And if we ever want the operating system to finally break into that double-digit market share, then we've got to help people. We've got to be willing to help them and show them how easy Linux is. It's one of the reasons why I started this channel. Or started this half of the channel, I guess you would say. Because I know that there are people out there that need help. And I know that I can help them. I'm not a developer. I'm not a maintainer of a Linux distribution. I've just used it for a very long time. For a very, very, very long time. And I know it. I know it well. And if you know it well, be someone's mentor. I actually, at one point in my life, 10, maybe 15 years ago, I was actually going to start a website that was dedicated to that very thing. Pairing mentees with mentors for Linux. Just, I couldn't get it off the ground because I don't remember why. Probably I was too busy, or I started thinking, well, it probably wouldn't work because getting enough people who are willing to help and do so pro bono is not an easy feat, blah, blah, blah. I never did it. So instead I'm doing this. Anyway, Linux is great. Linux is a great operating system. It has made my life so much easier than any other operating system I've ever used. And with it, I can do so much. More than the average bear thinks. So please, don't be that person that tells someone in need of help to read the freaking manual. Thank you for giving me your time. I hope that I have helped you with something, or maybe inspired you to help others. I don't know. But I know your time is precious, and I greatly appreciate you spending the time with me today. Thank you, and I hope that you and everyone you know and love have a wonderful, wonderful day.